With a desire to see more of what the world has to offer, we have been working away for the last few months, turning this 1997 Stewart & Stevenson into our ultimate expedition vehicle. With a fresh coat of paint, new lights, we are pushing ourselves to create a home that will not only allow us to travel, but to see the world from a different perspective. So follow along and join our journey as we transform this bare-bone military truck into our tiny home on wheels. So I'm putting together our pump. I just went with it's an eco-worthy pump. It had some good reviews on Amazon, so I went with that. And I also got a accumulator for it, and you don't have that pulsing the whole time. I just have to put together all this, kind of fit it up where it's going, hopefully screw it down. Just like that. And then we got our strainer. That'll pretty much suction out from the tank. Perfect. So we got our pump and our accumulator lined up. So we're gonna do a tee off of here, and then we're gonna have a disconnect right here and a disconnect kind of right here. We kind of have this lined up, so we just need to cut a piece in here that's kind of like that long. And there is a tool for this. I don't have a tool for this, so I'm just using a good old carpenter's knife. And then we just need our crimps right here. These are expensive, man. I don't get it. Like, how do these things, a box of 50, cost $40? Maybe it's just Canada, but it kind of sucks. So we got our tanks back from getting rotomolded. If you're wondering what that is essentially on these poly tanks, what they do is it's a spin style weld, because these type of tanks, nothing really sticks to them. So essentially they take a special fitting and they spin it really fast, and it gets so hot that it melts into there. And that's essentially what rotomolding is, or roto-welding. Rotomolding is how they make these tanks. But yeah, so we got a couple fittings in there. We got our 3-inch clean out. And yeah, we're just gonna slap a couple of these brass fittings in there as well, and then we can install it back in and plumb everything up. We're just finishing up this install here. I have to run a line from the vent to, we're gonna tee off the vent right here. We're gonna have a shutoff switch here, as you see. Then we'll have a 3/4 inch line coming in right here for the water to drain out of this tank into this tank. There'll be a switch or a valve as well. That way, that makes it, if this tank gets damaged, you can run just this tank. The downside of this way is it does have to go through this tank to get into this tank. But if that was to happen, this tank right here was to rupture, you're taking all this apart, no matter what, because there will be water absolutely everywhere. So it doesn't matter as much to have this one be on its own. got our hot water heater here. It's a 6-gallon Rheem 120 volt electric hot water heater. Possibly down the road, I'm not quite sure yet, we're just gonna change the element out into 24 volt. I'm not sure what's available, but possibly if we see that it's kind of harder to control the 120 volt. But that being said, yes, we know it's electric, might not be able to keep up, but chances are it will be okay with our solar system. We're just gonna install, so this is a pressure relief valve. We're gonna install that, and then we're gonna get it all plumbed up. So it's like day 4 of plumbing or something like that. It's a little bit more, there's more to it than in a typical house, I think. Just because in a house you don't have a water tank. You don't need to vent the water tanks. You don't have, typically, some houses do have a filtration system. With that, like, I had to install valves just so I can control the tank separately. Anyways, I'm hoping to be done today. We are waiting for it's a flow meter. It calculates how much water you have used, and then it notifies you when you're out or gonna be out. We're gonna get to plumbing here and hopefully finish up here today. So we're just finishing up our venting for the tanks. So essentially when you have an RV tank, if you're filling it, you have to vent the air out of it, otherwise it'll expand and stop taking on water, or worse, it can rupture, because they're not designed for 75 psi of water pressure and air. I'm running this is a vent line, and then I still have to run the feed line as well as the hot water line for a washer in the future. We're gonna put it into this closet, but for now we're just gonna run the line and leave it in there for the time being. Last piece of the puzzle finally came in the mail. It's this flow sensor. I already put fittings on it. All the water goes through here and it meters how much water you've used. I didn't want to drill the tanks and have sensors installed because that's just more leak points, and oftentimes that system fails and it's much harder to get to, as one of the tanks is in between the frame rails and the other one is also in a difficult to reach area. You'd have to take the whole dinette apart. The flow sensor seems like the best option for us. Easy to get to in case it does fail. These flow sensors, you can pretty much buy them on Amazon for like 20 bucks if you wanted to, but the whole system, the most important part is the Bluetooth system and the reader that actually connects to your phone, and you can see how much water you used. Anyhow, let's get this installed and be done with this plumbing. So this is what it looks like installed. Got to space it about 7 inches from the pump, and then there's a sharp 90 about another 7 inches-ish. So we have our filter cartridges. Essentially what we need to do is we need to screw them all together, 3 in a row, because we have 3 filter cartridges. What you can do with these is, depending on where you're drawing your water from, mainly taps at like provincial or state campgrounds, 5 micron first sediment filter, and then probably a 0.5 micron, and then we're going to be using a carbon filter of some sort. And then if we see that, yeah, we're suctioning out of rivers and streams, like small streams and lakes, fairly often, I will add a UV light to it. Up here in Canada, like the Rockies, we kind of have fairly clean water. It's very rare to encounter water that is murky or something like that. I don't think we'll need it for the time being, but I'm gonna have the room to add it if we do. So we got our filters right there, the 3 of them together. I used Pentair cartridges. I think it's Pentair. I'll put the link in the description for them. A pretty known company across the board. I just felt a little bit more comfortable, and they were actually very well priced compared to all the other ones. The nice part is they come with the brackets to mount them. A lot of the filters do not come with brackets to mount, and you have to buy that separate. So we got all of our plumbing done, or just about. We didn't get to installing the water filters, as we need to first finish the wall on that side before we mount those. But other than that, we have completed everything. We have our disconnect system, so we can isolate whichever tank, because we have one tank here and one tank underneath the floor. So that's what these valves are for, and as well as this valve right here. Then we got our pumps. We got an accumulator to keep that water pressure pretty steady. We went with an electric hot water heater, so that's right there. We also pre-plumbed for having a washer. I know some people may think that's not necessary, but if you're traveling in pretty remote locations and you have kids, you definitely need a washer. So that kind of wraps that up, and yeah, we just need to close this all up, and we're on to the next task, and that's going to be building our dinette. So if you made it this far in the video, thanks for watching, and please do consider subscribing, as these videos do take a lot of time to make, and building this truck takes a little longer to take. So if you haven't already, please subscribe, share our videos, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye.